What's up, YouTube? Welcome to my channel. My name is Baimi, and today I'm going to be sharing with you how I made this plaster art with a metallic chrome finish. First things first, if you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button, turn on bell notifications, because I can promise you there will be a lot more to come on this page, so you want to stay in the loop. To kick off today's tutorial, I am starting off by stapling the wire mesh to the back of my canvas. Usually I like to use a large piece of wire mesh for my sculptures. I usually aim for something about double the size of the canvas, but for this piece I had a different vision, and so I'm using two smaller pieces of wire mesh to begin. Once I get a sense for the shape of my sculpture or what I want it to be, I then go on with a hot glue gun and begin to glue the wire mesh to the canvas. Once I'm done gluing my wire mesh to the canvas and I have my frame or the shape of my sculpture ready, it's time to go in with a layer of plaster bandages and cover the wire mesh. To use plaster bandages, all you have to do is dip them in water or wet them and smooth that over your wire mesh. You can just dip it directly in water or use a wet brush as I'm doing in this video. I also wanted to highlight that I did go in to adjust the frame of my sculpture. At this point, I felt that the previous frame did not have enough volume, so I did go ahead and layer a wire mesh over my existing frame. And I just wanted to point this out to show that it is possible. I love to stress that if you're not happy with the frame or the shape of your sculpture, it is better to work on it as quickly as possible rather than proceed with the process. Once I adjusted the bottom half of the artwork, it became clear that the top half also needed some adjustment, and so what you see me doing here is adding a little bit of wire mesh to add more volume to the top half as well and just make it more cohesive. Anyway, once I'm done adjusting the artwork and the wireframe is completely covered in plaster bandages, my next step is to go in with my joint compound or with my plaster mixture and layer that all over the artwork. I added about 8 to 10 layers of the joint compound mixture before going in with my sanding paper to begin to buff out those rough edges and kick off the smoothing process. As a reminder, it is necessary to wear a respirator mask during this sanding process. After my initial sanding process, I go back in with my joint compound and add a couple more layers to the artwork. Next, I am sanding the artwork again, and this is the final sanding phase or process where I make sure that the artwork is as smooth as possible, making sure to buff out every rough bumps or edges, making sure to get as smooth of a finish before proceeding. Once I'm done sanding, I dust it thoroughly with a tack cloth to remove all dust particles, and I go in with my favorite household primer to prime the surface of the artwork for painting. Don't skip this step if you want your paint to lay perfectly on the art without being absorbed into it. I also added one layer of black paint because the chrome paint I plan to use works best with a dark base or dark background. I also wanted to share details about how I hang my art. Usually I'll measure 1/3 of the length of my artwork on my canvas and drill a pilot hole where the eye hook, which will be holding my hanging wire, will sit. Once I have my pilot holes, what I'm doing is screwing in the eye hooks into the holes as tightly as possible. And to be clear, the reason why 1/3 is the recommended distance is because anything lower and the top of your artwork will tilt forward when you hang it, or if you go higher, you risk having your wire peek out from the back of the artwork. Another really helpful tip is to make sure that you're not pulling your wire too tight on the back of the canvas, as this would actually make it difficult for you to find a hook or a nail when you need to hang the art. And so you always want to leave about 1 inch or 2 of space. Although these are the general rules that I stick to when it comes to how I hang my art, I always make sure to test each and every sculpture, as they all hang differently based on their dimensions, their weight, and the distribution of the weight. Once I'm fine with my hanging equipment and I have tested the way the art sits against the wall, I cut off the excess, loop the wire, and clip the ends with a needle nose plier. Next, I'm applying my liquid chrome paint to the artwork. One thing to take note of is that this chrome paint is very unlike your typical acrylic paint, in the sense that once you apply it, you need to give it about 48 to 72 hours for it to cure. Otherwise, it transfers really easily when you touch it. So for example, if you paint it, you give it a couple hours to dry, you lift up the artwork, you'll notice that the paint will transfer to your hands and dull the finish. And quite honestly, this, in my experience, happens even well after the cure time for the artwork. And so I combat by making sure to have all my T's crossed and all my I's dotted, just to make sure that once I paint it, I'm having very minimal interaction with the artwork. I am touching it as little as possible, so just keep that in mind. Also crucial, do not apply a varnish, as that can dull the finish as well. This is the final look. I'm in love with it. I adore it. I'm obsessed with it. This piece is the latest addition to my futuristic art collection, where I use metallics to interpret the future of art in a modern dystopian world. As a reminder, all of the links will be left in the description. If you haven't subscribed, please do so, as there will be a lot more to come on this page. And with all of that said, I want to thank you all for watching. I'll see you on my next video. Bye.